Hi guys, it's Panthers. I'm back in another video, and today I'm going to be predicting who I think will win each game in Week 6 of the NFL 2021 season. And before we get into today's video, I just want to say two things. First thing I wanted to say, if you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me down below because it would really mean a lot to me. And also I put news up there that I don't always put on this YouTube channel, so it's more content you can see for sports. And also I wanted to say, going into this week, 4 teams are on the bye week. Those are the New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons, New York Jets, and San Francisco 49ers. The reason the Jets and Falcons are on a bye week are because they're coming from London, England, and whenever you come from England, you get a bye week that next week so you can get back used to the time zone, since it's a big difference from England to the United States. So I just want to let you guys know that, so there will be no predictions for those teams since they're not playing this week. And let's get into the games for this week. So on Thursday Night Football, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia at 8:20 p.m. So in this game, I think the Bucs are going to win because, yes, the Bucs have not looked as good as what I thought they would coming out of the gates. Still look pretty good, but just not quite as good as you would think, being the Super Bowl champions. There's been some teams that have been playing a little bit better than them, at least in my opinion. So I do think they'll get the win here, though, because the Eagles, I know they did come back and beat the Panthers, but I just still don't think they're that great of a team, and I just think the Bucs will be able to win here and just get a ton of points on offense, and the Eagles won't be able to keep up. So I'm going to give the Buccaneers the win here on Thursday Night Football in Philadelphia. Let's get into the Sunday games. So the first Sunday game we have is the Miami Dolphins taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Considered a Jags home game, but it's in England, so it's really not a home game. In this game, I'm going to give the win to the Dolphins because the Jaguars have looked horrible this season. I think Trevor Lawrence could be a good quarterback in the future, but this rookie year, he played decent against the Bengals, but he just has not looked good overall. Last week, he did not look the best. But overall, he is a rookie, and he does not have the best team around him, so it might take him a couple years to figure things out, but I think he'll be able to figure it out and be a good quarterback in the NFL, but just not right now. It is not his time, and I know the Dolphins haven't looked great this season either, but I think they'll be able to get the win here against the Jaguars, because I really have not liked what the Jaguars have been doing so far this season. So I give the Dolphins the win. Let's get into the Sunday 1 o'clock games. So first, we have the Vikings taking on the Panthers at 1 p.m. at Bank of America Stadium in North Carolina. So in this game, I think the Panthers will win. I know they've lost the last 2 weeks, but I do think they finally rebound and get a win here against the Vikings, because the Vikings have been okay this season, but I just have not been a huge fan. And Dalvin Cook, I still believe, is supposed to be out, but he might come back. Even though the backup running back for the Vikings has been very good, I do like how he's been playing. I just don't think he's the same as Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is just so good. He's a top 5 running back probably, maybe a top 10 depending on when everybody's healthy and how everyone's playing, but definitely up there as one of the best running backs in the league for sure. So not having him is a huge loss for this Vikings offense, but I do think it'll be a pretty close game because the Panthers have just not been playing great so recently, so I do think they'll keep it close, the Vikings, but I think the Panthers will find a way to get the win here and get their 4th win of the season. And let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Chargers taking on the Ravens in Baltimore at 1 p.m. So in this game, I think this is going to be a very good game. I like how the Chargers have been playing. Also, the Ravens have been playing pretty good. Ravens came back in the 4th quarter to come back to the Colts, force overtime, and get the win. That was impressive by the Ravens. Lamar Jackson just turned on, I don't even know, like Superman, as they said on the game. He turned on like Superman or something. He just came out of the middle of nowhere, brought the Ravens back to get the win. So that was impressive by the Ravens. So I do think this will be a pretty close game, and I think it'll be a very good game with a lot of offense probably. But I am going to give, I think, the slight edge to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens to get the win here, because even if the Ravens do go down, I think Lamar Jackson can bring them back to get the win. So I'm going to give the win to the Ravens here. Let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Rams taking on the Giants in New York at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to give the Rams the win here because the Rams have looked pretty good overall this season. And then also the Giants have so many injuries last week. I don't know who's going to be coming back and not at the time of filming. Pretty much everyone's just either questionable or out. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Galladay. They have so many players out, etc. There's more than that, I believe. But there's just so many people out for the Giants. And it's so unfortunate because they haven't been a great team until last week, where they got a huge upset win, I would say, in my opinion, over the Saints in overtime. And they come in the next week, they had a tall task, the Cowboys, and they were actually playing pretty good, but then everybody just got hurt, and then they could not keep up with the Cowboys. But even if they all stayed healthy, I still think they would have lost to the Cowboys. They're a very good team, but it was kind of interesting to see how close they were able to stay with the Cowboys when healthy, and then everybody just started getting hurt, and then that's just not going to work. With your backup quarterback, your backup running back, it's just not, you're not beating the Cowboys with that. especially with how good their offense was playing, because the Cowboys offense is so good. So I'm going to give the win to the Rams here, but hopefully the Giants can get some of those players back either this week or in the near future, because they were starting actually to like click a little bit and get this offense rolling, and then everybody just got hurt, unfortunately. So I'm going to give the win to the Rams here. Let's get into the next Sunday game. Next, we have the Texans taking on the Colts in Indianapolis at 1 p.m. Eastern. So in this game, I'm going to give the Colts the win because the Texans have not looked really that good this season, but it's understandable with a lot of not really having as good of players. A lot of their players have gone either over the last few years. So this is not going to be a fun game for Davis Mills, because I think that Colts pass rush is going to be all over him. I know the Colts have had some decent pass rush, but it's not always been there. But against the Texans, especially with their offensive line being even weaker now, I think they'll get some good pass rush in. So I'm going to give the win to the Colts here. Let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Chiefs taking on football team in Washington at 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to give the Chiefs the win here because Washington has just not looked as good as I thought they would this season. And the Chiefs also haven't looked as good as I thought they would, but I still think they'll be able to get the win here. And for their sake, hopefully Tyreek Hill can play, because he is questionable right now at the time of filming this video. But if he plays or not, I still think the Chiefs offense is too much for their football team to handle. And I think they'll be able to get the win here against football team. So I give the Chiefs the win. Let's get into the next game. Next, we have an NFC North rivalry with the Packers taking on the Bears in Chicago at 1 p.m. So I'm going to give the Packers the win here because the Packers have just looked so good since that Week 1 loss. Ever since then, they've been looking so good, and I really like this Packers offense. And I know they almost did lose to the Bengals last week, but there also was a lot of missed kicks, so it's not necessarily they were playing bad. It's just they couldn't make some kicks. And I know a lot of teams had that issue last week with extra points and field goals. There were a lot of misses, but still, I do think the Packers are still a really good team, and I do think they'll be able to beat their NFC North rival in Chicago. And let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Bengals taking on the Lions in Detroit. So I'm going to give the Bengals the win here. The Lions have not looked great this season. They've played good and kept games close, but they've just not found a way to win those games. And also, the Bengals have been playing really good this season, and I think that continues here against the Lions. So I'm going to give the win to the Bengals, and let's get into the next Sunday game. Next, we have the Cardinals taking on the Browns in Cleveland. So I think this is going to be a really good game because the Browns have been playing okay, and then the Cardinals have been playing great. Kyler Murray's looking like the MVP candidate right now, probably for the league. If the season ended right now, I think Kyler would win it. At least that's my opinion. So I think the Cardinals will get the win here in Cleveland, but the Browns have not been playing horrible. They haven't been playing great. I think they've been playing okay, at least in my opinion, and I really like how the Cardinals have been playing. So I'm going to give the win to the Cardinals and Kyler Murray here on the road. Let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Cowboys taking on the Patriots in New England at 4:25 p.m. So I'm going to give the win to the Cowboys here because I really like how the Cowboys have been playing ever since that loss in Week 1 to the Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football, and I just think they'll continue to play good here against the Patriots. And the Patriots have started to play a little bit better, at least in my opinion, since that Bucs game where they lost. But I still think the Cowboys are a little bit too much for them to handle. So I'm going to give the win to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, and let's get into the next game. Next, we have the Raiders taking on the Broncos in Denver. So Raiders obviously just lost John Gruden, their head coach. I'm not going to go into why. If you want to, you can look that up, but I'm not going to go into that because I'm just making the predictions here. But I do think the Raiders will get the win here on the road because the Broncos have only really beaten some weak teams. Like, they haven't really beat anyone that's that good, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to give the Raiders the win here on the road. I know they haven't been playing as good at the last 2 weeks, but I think they bounce back here and get the win in Denver. So let's get into Sunday Night Football. So on Sunday Night Football, we have the Seahawks taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. This game, I think, will be a pretty close game because the Seahawks don't have their starting quarterback in Russell Wilson, and Big Ben has just not really looked too good this season for the Steelers, or Ben Roethlisberger, his actual name. He just has not looked very good, so I think this will be a close game, but I think I'm going to give the slight edge to the Seahawks because I really liked how Geno Smith played for the Seahawks last week. I know he threw that interception at the end of the game, which cost them, but that really wasn't his fault, because if you look, Tyler Lockett tripped, and he would have been there. He tripped over his own feet running his route, because if he didn't trip, he would have been right there to make the play. But because he tripped, there was nobody there except for the defensive back. So I really don't think that was Geno Smith's fault that last game. And I think he played really well for coming in off the bench, not playing a snap in a long time. And with Russell Wilson, before that injury, he's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks. He's played almost every single game the last, I don't even know how many seasons, but a long time. He rarely ever sits out of a game. So for him to be out now for a few weeks, that's going to be a little bit concerning for the Seahawks. But I do think the Seahawks do get the win on Sunday Night Football. Let's get into Monday Night Football. So on Monday Night Football, we have the Bills taking on the Titans in Nashville at 8:15 p.m. So I'm going to give the Bills the win here because the Bills have been playing really good this season. And I just don't think the Titans will be able to beat the Bills at home. I know they are at home, but I just think the Bills are too much for them to handle. And I really like how Josh Allen has started to play the last few weeks. So I think the Bills will get the win here on Monday Night Football to round out Week 6 predictions. So let me know who you think will win each game down below. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.